Radioactive contamination is when alpha particles up at the top, they consist of 2 protons and 2 neutrons. They affect on the outside of your skin. They develop skin cancer. They mainly affect the outside of your skin because they can barely pierce paper. And there are beta particles, which can pass through a much larger array of items, like glass. Like alpha particles can't pierce glass, but beta particles can, most definitely. And they can affect like just under your skin, like maybe your ribs, around your rib area, but they can't get to your heart. You can't develop heart cancer from beta particles. And there are gamma rays. Gamma rays come from the sun, piercing the ozone layer, and the average amount that get in, it's not that bad, but a lot of it over over a small period of time can be very detrimental. MREMs are a unit of measurement to measure the effect of radiation on a human body. Typically per year we get 360 MREMs, and you may say that doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean each MREM carries a 0.0551% chance of developing cancer. And as that seems like a small number, if you add it up, 360 times 0.55 whatever, that's like a 15% chance of developing cancer per year. And that affects all of us. But I mean, we could all have cancer at the moment right now. We really could. The whole deal with cancer is that mostly there aren't that many symptoms to it until it becomes too late. Like, for example, Steve Jobs died of pancreatic cancer, which is cancer that is it doesn't show up on anything until it's too late. Well, I mean, it would, but you're not going to go into the doctor's office and get a CAT scan every time for pancreatic cancer. I don't know, unless you were super freaking cautious, which is good, because 15% chance of cancer per year, that's a pretty big chance. I definitely don't want to get cancer, and I hope the people who have cancer recover, but I'm pretty freaking sure that nobody goes in to the doctor and gets a CAT scan every time. But anyway, internal contamination is when a radioactive substance gets inside of a human being and it screws up your junk in there. it can affect everything because the contaminated particles move throughout your bloodstream and bad, but it can cause cancer everywhere. Pretty much this is all about cancer and mutation. Mutations won't appear on you immediately. People think they will, but they don't. They usually, unless you get real, you get real messed up quickly. Like if you get 100 MREMs over a short period of time, then it's extremely likely that you're going to develop like a mutation or cancer or something. But the whole internal contamination is it's less likely to affect things that are further away from the part that got infected. This can occur through like if you have an open wound and something contaminous gets inside, or if your eyes, nose, and mouth, and yeah, that could definitely happen. It's a very common case, but external contamination is when somebody touches something that's contaminous, like this chair was contaminous, then my hand would have external contamination on it. Yeah, it's not as bad. It's definitely not as bad as internal contamination, but external contamination usually is the catalyst for internal contamination, because you get it on your hand and in your eyes, mouth, and nose and stuff, and it pretty much, it's the one that spreads it around. It's the stage of the process that spreads it around. Radioactive contamination is pretty much a disease. With the radiation and the contaminating and all that. Environmental contamination is pretty much external contamination on a larger scale. It's like throughout the air and everything, and all that, like in Japan. I hope it's not as bad now, but there's definitely some environmental contamination over there. And radiation is when the substance itself gives off harmful particles like alpha particles or beta particles or gamma rays and cosmic rays and stuff.